chat and
I don't know what you're talking about. How is everyone? I hope everyone's doing well. This show is always professional, you know.
Everyone was doing well when I left them.
I can't believe so many of you stuck around. We're genuinely touched that you decided to wait for us. There you go. Thank you, Tash. Yeah, nothing happened here. Nothing to see, folks.
The weird thing was, on my end, I was telling you before, and I didn't get around to telling chat properly. I was logged in on Joe's account because I couldn't get in as a guest. So technically we had 2 hosts of the show. And I think that's what broke it. And then now suddenly I'm back as a guest and it's working.
So you both broke it and fixed it.
Exactly. Oh, I must admit, it was lovely being able to control the comments.
I bet it was. I dread to think, chat, what Jordan was doing while I had no control. Good evening, Wardens. Good evening, Philomena. Good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry, everyone, for the full start there. Technology will do what it wants to do, whether we like it or not. So yes, for those of you just joining on YouTube, thank you so much for your patience. We're joined tonight by Andrew, Green and Pleasant Land. And
yay!
Welcome to the show, finally. Yay! Okay.
15 minutes late.
Oh, technology. This is why I'm a tech boomer. I think I've just decided it's really not worth learning all this stuff because it's going to be obsolete before I get the hang of it. Or people are just going to walk away in disgust.
I do genuinely believe this crash was because we were both logged in on the same account and it just couldn't handle it along with the video. It just got confused. Though why that froze your computer, I have no idea. It should have chucked me out. That would have been the logical thing.
In fairness, it wasn't the computer. It was Brave that crashed. But yeah. Anyway, on with the show. Onwards and upwards.
Indeed.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to carry on with something.
No.
The problem is we've had like a silly 15 minutes. I'm out of the rhythm.
You need to get your dancing shoes back on.
You did. Okay, anyway. Serious moment now for a change. As you may have been able to guess, we're kind of going through a stage of rebranding at the moment, i.e. the new background and new words on said background in comparison to the old ones. And it's made some people a little unhappy, and it could possibly be because of how we've gotten this across. The general gist is what we want is just to help people. That's pretty much all we stream about, ever. It's helping people, and it is working out ways to actually come up with solutions and then implement those solutions. When we tried to discuss this, in the first podcast last Friday, and then again on Saturday, there were a couple of comments that just kind of, they weren't that bad in and of themselves, but they were pretty much the final straw. The straw that broke the camel's back, as it were. Because over the previous month or so, we have been having some really, to put it mildly, some really strange comments. Just very, very sexual comments. Some of them just left as comments on the underneath the videos afterwards. Others aimed directly at other people in chat. And then when we go into what it is to be a warden, and we start, there was one comment in particular that kind of stuck out, which was basically wardens ... who gives an F. The only reason it didn't actually go up onto live chat is purely because of we have the YouTube spam filter thing on, and it auto-moderated that word out. But it is bloody hurtful. Quite honestly, when you're trying to lay out what you are and what you're about, and then you get comments like that. Maybe Retaliation isn't the word. Maybe the way that was then handled was not the best. Fine. Can definitely hold our hands up on that. But the lack of self-moderation from people, and then the lack of our own people pushing back against what are just objectively awful comments that some people have been leaving recently, it's just odd. It's very, very odd. And then when we pushed back against it, some people got very unhappy. To an extent, I can understand why, because it may have appeared like a sudden change if you had just turned up for one stream. But we'd been going on about this sort of thing for the past month, on and off, just softly, because that's what we are. We're not people who like to come down hard. I personally am very much of the mindset that if you have to shout at someone, they're not really someone you want anyway. There's a reason that personal responsibility appears so high on our list. So it's the top right. It is the most obvious place going that you can possibly see. It is there because that is, in my opinion, the most important part of what we're trying to do. We're trying to just accept responsibility for ourselves and for our family. Cameron says he hasn't seen any of the comments. I'm glad you haven't. By and large, that is not the sort of comment we get at all. But it kind of started a little over a month ago, and it just built and built and built. And then, as far as I'm concerned, that Warden's ... who gives an F comment was it. I don't really care what other people get up to. You know, go call yourselves whatever you want elsewhere. It's perfectly fine by me. Makes no odds. But when we're trying to lay out what we are, like, why is the only thing that comes to mind. If you don't want to be a part of it, that's perfectly fine, but don't belittle something you have no interest in, especially when that thing that you have no interest in is, for all intents and purposes, just setting out a decent human being. I see no argument against that just be a decent human being. That's it. But yes, from that point, it kind of snowballed out of control. And this could also partly be Joe and I's fault, because we don't engage in nonsense drama at all. You'll note we never reply to much of anything. But we do watch. And we do listen. And some of the comments from some people are just mind-blowingly stupid. My personal favourite one, apart from being told I have a speech impediment, which was hilarious to me, my personal favourite was when we was accused of being a honeypot. Like, this is one heck of a honeypot. The people who sit around, tell people not to engage with the government, tell people not to send us money, and come up with ways that we can be self-employed. Like, what sort of weird honeypot is this? This is a strange thing. I agree with Johnny Not Power in that comments are comments and should be taken with a pinch of salt. I agree with that, apart from when they're just weirdly overtly sexual for no reason. People know what sort of stream we're about. We don't mention that sort of stuff. The closest we ever get... No, actually, there is no closest we ever get. We simply do not. English Bird has asked, what's a honeypot? A honeypot, I would have called it a honey trap. But a honeypot is basically when...
It's entrapment, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I was trying to think of a way to say it. It's like Fed posting, but in reverse. But that also needed an explanation of what Fed posting was. But yeah, thank you. It is basically entrapment. It is trying to trick people into behaving a certain way and then getting the feds called on them.
We're trying to trick people into being good and decent people so that we can report them. Brilliant.
Exactly. I agree with Philomena. Everyone's fed up with drama-ish nonsense. It just doesn't matter. And Joe and I don't help ourselves because we don't reply to it. At the same time, though, when you guys are in those sort of chats, and there's no pushback to being accused of being a honeypot. It's like, come on, lads.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
You know we're not. But you know we're not. And even let's say even if we are, let's play this game. Let's say we are. We're trying to trick people into being self-employed. English Bird has hit the nail on the head. Just as I was about to say it, she said it. What is that? That's so weird. What we've basically asked of you is defend us a little tiny bit. That's all we want. Just push back just a little bit and say, hey, wait a minute, this is not reasonable. It's not as if we're high and mighty. Unlike most other streamers, or certainly any streamers that I know of, we're in Discord pretty much every day. You can talk to us. We was in the chat after last stream. Admittedly, it did take a while for me to make tea because I also needed to get something to eat because my bloody dinner was ruined, but that's not the point. Certainly within half hour, I was in there. If anyone had an issue, they could have come and spoke. So far, the only person to do that was our pal. Then our pal was banned by mistake. We apologised, we moved on, all was good. Johnny Depp says he calls me Honeypot all the time, which is frightening.
So now that's been established, there aren't many groups or communities putting you first, asking you to better yourselves, asking you to invest in yourselves instead of us. So if you want to be here and support what we're doing, we're very grateful to have you. If you don't like what we're doing or you don't agree with it, then maybe this isn't the stream for you, and that's fine too. But please don't come here and ruin it for anyone else, because that's pretty selfish behaviour. You know, we're all in trouble right now, all of us. There's some bad stuff coming, and it's going to affect each and every one of us. And this is just completely unnecessary. I hate drama. There's a reason why we're doing this kind of stream, where we're focusing on positive, productive behaviour.
It's exactly why we don't address it. We just let it go and then kind of assume that people will give up, but no.
We've come from those places. The reason why we don't address it now is because we've wasted enough time on that kind of behaviour. And I should imagine, given what's coming, I would hope everyone else would be in the same position. Wasting time on, being silly online. Come on, we've got better things to concern ourselves with now, surely.
Indeed we do, which is where Andrew comes in.
Yes.
Do you think this is covered and put to bed properly?
I hope so. I hope that people think about the consequences of their actions, take responsibility for their own behaviour, and that everyone can move on and focus on the real problems. And there are some very real problems for us to focus on instead of this.
Truth Will Set You Free has asked a question. I think it's an important question. He asked who it was who made the Honeypot comment. I don't remember the person's username, but I definitely remember that they've never been in chat before. The thing wasn't even the comment itself. It was the lack of pushback. It was the fact that there were a number of people there who have watched us before, and there wasn't a single inch of pushback from any of them. And that's fine. They're not, they're not paid protection bodies. They don't have to do anything. But it would have been
if you don't protect the things you value, you lose them, right? That's why we're in this mess.
Exactly. It would have been nice to see just a little bit, like even if it was just a lol, be quiet sort of thing, just
don't be so silly. Don't be so silly. All they do is help people. Anyway, disappointing, but
that was all.
Right, let's get back to the business of
being useful. That's what I like to call it.
Okay, Andrew, you had some stuff that you wanted to go through.
Yes, I did.
Okay, over to you.
Right, so we're talking about the future, or probably this year, to be honest. So everyone's got a choice. You can choose to take this experimental mRNA gene therapy, which will probably be every year. You have no knowledge of the long-term effects of it, or if it'll make you infertile. If it doesn't make you infertile, you have no idea of the effects that it'll have on your children. It's being pushed by people like Bill Gates, who in a 2015 TED Talk on climate change talked about reducing the world population by 10 to 15% using these vaccines, healthcare, and reproductive health services. You'll live in a slave-like existence under a social credit system, one worse than China, which will come about as a result of the health passports which are now being pushed, where every single aspect of your life is monitored and controlled. You'll be forced to eat bugs and synthetic meat grown in laboratories. And at some point, you may even be selectively culled by being given a slightly different yearly mRNA gene therapy. These are all possibilities that might happen. There might even be things that are even worse. Or you can choose not to take this experimental gene therapy. You'll be gradually locked out of the global economy. We're already seeing articles, no jab, no job. Certainly not going to be no foreign travel. We're seeing that as well coming in. No access to pubs, cafes, restaurants, events. Everything you've took for normal in 2019, you'll be locked out of. There'll be a cashless society, and a social credit score will massively restrict the use of fiat currency in your bank account. So there'll be no getting around it using the what you call money now, the pounds or whatever your local equivalent is. Your ability to access food and healthcare may even be restricted or even denied. Bill Gates is the USA's biggest owner of farmland? Yeah, he's not growing stuff on there. He's not at all. These are things that are happening and things we've been talking about. If you're not part of a community that's actively taking steps to prepare for all this, then you'll end up taking this gene therapy and you'll submit to it because you won't really have much else of a choice. So, something to think about there.
Quite a lot to think about there. I mean, as you say, you write these things out talking about some kind of dystopic future, and then you realize that the future is here, right? And that this end game has already begun. We are in the final stages of it. Requiring identification to access basics like food. I mean, come on, we are living a dystopian nightmare. We are living under tyranny. I know that people can't really believe that all of those freedoms that have been taken from us will just be handed back unconditionally. There are employers, a certain idiot in Pimlico, for instance, who is going to insist that all these new employees have a vaccine. It's his right to ask for that. I personally hope that he doesn't get any new employees. I hope those people with skills decide that they can let this man control their private life, or they can be self-employed and work for themselves and have freedoms. I hope that customers refuse to allow people in their homes who've had their DNA altered. This is ridiculous. You've now got corporations controlling your body. That's where we're at. If people think nothing worse is going to happen, you are deluded. There's so much more that they can take from us. They just haven't taken it yet. It's a very scary time to be alive. But it's also a wonderful time to be alive. Because for all the bad things that are happening, people are finally looking for solutions. Finally. Instead of spending years online complaining about everything that is going wrong, which is a comment I just flashed up on the screen. I'm actually going to put that back because it's very important.
It was a really good comment.
From History and Truth. Instead of complaining about all the things that are going wrong and discussing endlessly why they're going wrong, who's behind it, who's causing it, who's funding it, who's allowing it, does any of that really matter?
Not at all.
We can't stop it, right? There's nothing we can do. Individually, they're going to pick us off one at a time. The only people who are going to survive this are the people who decide right now that they are not going to be enslaved. And that means choose your community, be involved with your community.
Well, that brings us to White Rose and Thorn.
Very smooth. Carry on.
The smoothest segue known to mankind.
Yeah, we are one group who are actively putting things in place in preparation for what's coming. We are wanting to find like-minded people who share our values to create real communities in real life, physical ones that you can actually walk in and live in and operate in. We want to develop skills to create businesses which are going to be the foundation of how we're going to free ourselves. Start off with little businesses and grow them. Then you start to implement things like gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies instead of this fiat currency. That's creating a parallel economy, a decentralized economy. When we'll also link up with other groups, because there are other groups, to create a wider network. So we don't have to do everything ourselves. It's not like White Rose and Thorn are going to save the UK. That's not the plan. What we're doing is getting started and building ourselves up. Hopefully there are other groups that we can link up with. And if they've got their own small economies built up, they can just link in with us. And then we're automatically stronger. We can trade different ideas, help each other out. We are not alone in this. There are other groups, such as the Freedom Cell Network, which is something I've just come across recently, that exist and are advocating for the similar things that we're doing. The time for watching streams is over. That's past. If you want to survive and even thrive in the future, then the work starts now, because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse as time goes on. And we need to get ahead of it. If you're not sure how to get involved, if you think you've not got skills or anything like that, let us know. Talk to us, because there's something everyone can do. No matter how small, it can help. And that's what we're all about here. Not messing about with, petty drama. Not interested. I didn't get involved to get involved in that sort of stuff. So make your choice. I think pass it back from that.
That's a really good way to end that, actually, because this is about choice. You still have choices right now. Limited choices, granted. But if you don't start choosing your team now, doesn't matter who you choose, but if you don't either start building your own networks and communities or joining existing networks and communities, what will happen is these communities will fill up and the people left behind will be forever left behind. Those people will be in a position where they are isolated and alone, just as they've tried to make us for the last year. And you will never, ever have anyone support you or back you up. The only people who are going to survive this now are the people that will fight for each other. And I do mean fight for each other. I mean fight for the rights of each other. Fight to feed each other. Fight to provide for each other. We've become such a bunch of selfish people that only think about our own immediate goals and choices. That's also deliberate. It's up to us to change this. You can spend your whole life just doing for you, and only you benefit from it, but you will be alone when it comes the time for you to need help from someone else. No one else will be there for you because you weren't there for them. Or you can join a like-minded community where everyone is doing their very best to help each other. Imagine having a massive group of people who will stand for you when you need it. But you need to earn it. You need to earn it by contributing what you get. You need to give it back. You need to give it back. We cannot keep taking and taking all of our lives and not giving back. The time for selfish isolation is over. It's done. Now is the time for wholesome, productive communities. Everyone works, everyone eats. Everyone plays, everyone pays. We can't keep working on this position of, well, I've got money, so I'm okay. When all the resources dry up, when the supply chain fails, your money's worthless. You may as well burn it as fuel.
Oh, you can't eat it. You can't eat paper, and there's going to be no worth to it once nobody's accepting it. You know, the day that something like a can of Spam becomes worth more than the paper that you're transferring over for it, you're in trouble. We've seen that. We know it happens. First off, you see it in the third world all the time, but look at Venezuela.
Yes.
Venezuela went from being pretty decent, you know, not perfect by any stretch of the imaginations, but pretty decent, to people chasing down cows and dogs in the street and beating them to death with rocks so they could eat them raw right there and then. We saw that in the space of about 8 years, I think. I'm not even sure it took that long. It went bloody quick.
Well, this is a good point, actually. This is a good point. Oh, sorry, Andrew. Did you want
I'd like to
something?
make a point.
Yeah.
What we're doing here, it doesn't need loads and loads and loads of people. This is irrelevant. Having, 100,000, 10,000, million people watching the streams, yeah, it looks good. It looks good. It's irrelevant. Let's talk about something important for once. Let's talk about people actually getting involved. We need people who are prepared to get off their ass and actually start doing stuff. Because we're not going to win by having a million people watching a stream. By having, 100,000 subscribers. Irrelevant. We need 8 to 50 people, perhaps, in real life, working together, creating small businesses, trading with each other, using cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, bartering. That's what we need. So otherwise, yeah, looks nice, but it's not what we need.
I fully agree. It is completely irrelevant how many people watch. It's basically like having a big audience. It is exactly like having a big audience, actually. It's completely irrelevant. People actually need to start taking responsibility. The first step are things like these industry overviews. This was Andrew's idea, and it's a great idea. I can't say enough good things about this. I think in the future we're going to look back at this as one of the best things we ever did. If you can't take up any of these things, that's perfectly fine. You may have skills and interests in various other things which enable you to write one of these. If this is already knowledge that's in your head, or if it's a subject that you're interested in but haven't done yourself yet, but eventually would like to, please do write one of these and get involved.
If you need help with that, again, please ask for help.
I would like to just say that the first industry overview that I did was leather crafting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I came up with the idea after Jordan and Jordan did the men. I think it was Jordan. You did the men's stream, didn't you? The first men's stream.
Indeed.
And you were talking about leather crafting, something I've never even considered before. I got interested in it. I started doing some research, and in the course of that, I thought, well, I might as well just write this down, create an article out of it, and just for everyone else to have a look at. So I did that and put it on. I did it because I was interested in it. I had a passion for it because it really is interesting. And then it's out there. Now I'm doing one at the moment for chicken farming, and flipping heck, I've been going at this thing for a while because I'm not particularly passionate about it. It's not something that at this moment in time I can make use out of. Well, what should have happened is somebody who's already got experience with chicken farming, with raising chickens, and loves it, and can actually create a overview from that and put all the little tricks that you develop, that you find out as you're doing it, put them into there, these shortcuts to help everyone out. This is what we need. We need people who actually know what they're doing and are passionate about a specific area, creating these overviews. It's better to have 20 people doing one overview on something they're passionate about than one person doing 20 overviews and on things that they might not.
I want to add to that as well. You mentioned no access to food or medicine without this COVID passport. That also means that potentially no access to A&E. If you fall or one of your children fall, no access to emergency medical treatment. This is real. This is happening now. Police are breaking into people's homes without a warrant. If you think anarchy hasn't arrived yet, they're doing this without a warrant. There is no rule of law, except when it's convenient. That is anarchy. It's already here. When people are starving,
it's authoritarian,
and they're cut off from the food supply. Well, I meant just that it's going to become lawless. I mean, the people upholding the law are breaking the law, and they are becoming very authoritarian. People are being arrested for sitting in their homes with someone in their own bubble. Their bubble, my God. They convinced us that we could have bubbles. There's a comment I wanted to bring up.
I'm bringing this one up, actually.
Well, let me just pop it up on the screen. 1 second.
Good enough.
Okay, English sailor. Brilliant.
I'll read it out. At Joanne, quote, join our movement while there's still time is the same as join my cult to survive the impending whatever. We should read about cult recruitment. Where's my Kool-Aid, please?
Can I just answer something first before you carry on?
Oh, by all means, because we're going to say the same thing.
Well, first of all, I didn't say join our movement. I said find a community and join it. So please don't put words in my mouth. That's incorrect. Join my cult. Do you know what cults do? They get you to join them and they take everything from you. We've taken nothing from no one. In fact, all we've done is given people help.
We actively discourage people from giving us money.
So can you explain how it's a cult? Because everything you've written there is incorrect. Over to you, Jordan.
This is the sort of thing that I said earlier on at the beginning of the show. And obviously, it doesn't get through to everyone, apparently. If you're not interested in something other people are doing, it's perfectly fine. But why pull it down? What have we said tonight that is in any way, shape or form questionable? There isn't anything, because all we're saying is, how can we best work out ways to look after ourselves?
And each other.
Yeah, ourselves and each other. Ourselves, our family, our friends, all of that sort of stuff. There is nothing else to it. That's all it is.
That's an amazing comment. This is exactly what we were talking about. If you can't get behind something, tear it down. There is no cult-like behaviour here. This is not a cult of personality. This is good people with great standards coming together for good reasons, being productive, learning skills, making sure that when everything goes bad, and it will, that we have skills, that we are assets to any community that we join. It can be any community you choose, but your choices are being with a group of like-minded people or being on your own. If you think that's a cult, then I'm afraid you've got a lot to learn, and you're going to learn the hard way with that attitude. Just Kate responds, a cult doesn't encourage people to think for themselves, and they usually ask for money. There you go.
Just a minute. I did say that we're not the only ones doing it.
Yeah,
find other groups. Yeah, find other groups. There's a Freedom Cell network starting. I haven't looked into it too much. I'm going to see if there's something around your neck of the woods. Cool. Try it. We're hardly saying we're the only ones here.
Exactly.
Thank God we're not.
And we started tonight's stream actually by saying, thank goodness everyone's talking about community now. Find the thing that works for you in your area or online, Although I will say, if online is as far as this goes for you, that community is not going to be there for you when you really need them. You need
The
someone
community
that can get to you
in a power
physically.
cut.
Yeah.
Like, for goodness sake, if you have a power cut for whatever reason, I read today, there's the 2 military jets in France were flying too low over a village. It knocked their power out. Like, what weird scenario is that? When your power can be knocked out because 2 jets flew over far too low.
Exactly. Johnny Not Pal's complaining that this cult is rubbish because he can't even give lemons to us. English Bird says no money or belongings involved. History and Truth says I'm part of an IRL association, Sweden. They have called it a cult as well. Yeah, they're going to do this. You know, it's very sad that people tear things down instead of working with all of us collectively to try and find solutions. Yeah, we won't take your money, Johnny. Sorry. If you don't have solutions, then what is the point of coming here? What is it you think we're doing that's harming anyone? We're asking people to be productive, to upskill themselves so that they have value to these communities in the future, so that they can provide for their own families. I don't really understand what your problem is, but I do feel sorry for you. Okay.
There was another comment I wanted. I
What's
forgot
that?
what it was. It was 2066 alarm. He's
Is it
just
the
been
masked
sacked.
one?
Yeah, he's just been sacked, unfortunately. I'm sorry you've been
Wow.
sacked, mate. At the same
That's terrible.
time, like, there's no nice way to say this, but I think everyone knows this sort of thing is going to start becoming more and more commonplace. And there really is nothing we can do about it, unfortunately. Not in the workplace environment, anyway. The only thing we can do, hopefully, is become position ourselves where we're either self-employed or employing other people, both of which are very, very hard.
The thing is, I suppose, you know, I feel terribly sorry for you that you were treated like a second-class citizen there. That's really ridiculous. You say that you're legitimately exempt, so you shouldn't have even been challenged on that. I'm so sorry that we've got to this point. This really is an authoritarian dictatorship that we live under. The law is actually very clear. Under the Discrimination Act, you're actually not allowed to challenge someone if they tell you they're exempt from mask wearing. So yeah, that's ridiculous. You have my sympathies. On the bright side, though, I suppose, at least you have some choices now. I know that's not a brilliant answer, but again, 2066, come and talk to us. Maybe we can inspire you into something. Maybe we can just suggest a few things. Come and talk to us, please, and we'll see if we can help. Right, Tash, you've mentioned this a few times tonight. Sorry, I was focusing on the other chats. Why did you give your lemons to Nick? Right, we didn't give the lemons. I sent Nick a donation because
One Ninja Guinea. Oh no, sorry, Ninja Jet rather.
Yeah, because I really like what Nick produces. Nick is providing a service that I particularly feel I want to pay for. I haven't really supported Nick the way I used to because I've been dealing with a lot of drama and nonsense lately. And I certainly know I haven't sent Nick anything for the longest time. So that's why, if you wanted to know, there you go. Enjoy.
We also couldn't do anything with them.
Yeah,
We've
we're
never
trapped.
cashed them out, and we just kind of put them back into chat for you guys to have and go spend elsewhere. We had no ability to do that because for some reason we've been X-tagged.
Well, yes. So, and in order to cash them in, you need to give your government ID to DLive.
which we didn't do.
And we can't give them out to you. So unfortunately, and unless the X tag is removed, then they're just going to sit there doing nothing. So yes, very frustrating. I really like Nick. I don't actually agree with Nick on everything, and he doesn't agree with me on everything. But we have somewhat of a friendship, if that can be had online. I think we have quite a good relationship. We get on really well. And I really do like the service Nick provides. It's escapism. He knows it. He plays good music and he talks about really good subjects. And just like all of you, I'm free to support whoever I want. Nick is not building a community. Well, he is technically a musical community, if you will. But Nick is doing the thing that he enjoys. He's never asked me for a penny. That was my choice. And times are hard for our people. If someone's providing a service that you value, then fine. But if people are not providing anything in exchange for your donations that you value, that you get some pleasure from or inspiration from, that's when we ask you to invest in yourself instead. The reality is, this money was going nowhere. These lemons were going nowhere. We're literally blocked now from doing anything else with them. So that is a shame. But I support people that I believe have genuine intentions, and Nick is one of them. To answer your question, there you go. Right.
Ian Mars said he'd definitely get an ambulance chaser on that one. I agree. If at all possible, I would also get an ambulance chaser on that. One of those miserable, wretched little lawyers who occasionally are kind of useful.
Oh, Timmy says he was hassled at the dentist as well for not wearing a mask. Yeah, this is ridiculous. That's a really good idea from Dragon Energy, who says, I need a gardener, I really do. Is there a Telegram channel where we can give the sack guy a bit of work? Absolutely. Again, this is about networking. We need to start networking. We absolutely do. If we cannot be self-employed, we can start employing each other, right? That's the way this works. Right. Okay, I'm just scrolling through the chats. Keep talking, chaps, because I'm trying to catch up. Sorry.
No, I'm enjoying this.
I really wanted to read out... some of these comments.
There's actually something I'd like to bring up, if that's okay.
Please do.
It's actually in regards to the words that are around the edge of the what would you call it? The stream.
The overlay.
Overlay, yeah. If you could just, yeah. These words are not just, they're not just our values. They're not just what we stand for, but they're also how we're actually going to win against this. I don't know if you can see the decentralization.
They can see it just fine. You and I can't.
Yeah, can button things above them. Yeah, the decentralization and free enterprise are definitely the two things that we're going to have to do, and that's where the businesses come in. So everything all ties in, creating a decentralized economy, like I've said. So it's yeah. Would you like to say anything about them?
I find it interesting that the four corners of that all kind of play into each other. It was a complete accident. When I was creating this, I was basically just trying to make it fit properly. I may still play around with it because I've got it currently aligned with the edges, and I don't think that works properly. I may redo it so they align with the middle, but that's for a different matter altogether. The four corners going on here: decentralization, anti-globalism, free enterprise, personal responsibility. They are the key to everything. By taking personal responsibility and pulling away from the massive international corporations, you're decentralizing, and you're also supporting free enterprise and anti-globalism at the same time. Yes. Everything here is intertwined. If you do one of them, you're doing something else as well. I think it is really important that we start getting into this mindset. A part of the reason as well that we changed those and added those is because it gives us a general guide for each stream, really. These are the things that are most important. Anything outside of this, with very few exceptions, I would say, pretty damn unimportant. Because we've got to be fighting for decentralization and liberty. We have to be taking personal responsibility. We have to be engaging in free enterprise and trying to drag down the globalist establishment. And at the same time, while doing all of that, we have to reinforce our heritage as well. These are all really, really important things.
Yes.
Well, on that point, it's what there's no political solution, really. We can't take power by trying to get people into these positions of power, into these MPs, councillors, etc.
It's a fool's game.
Certainly not now. I mean, look at the state of the so-called democracy. They're just riding roughshod over it. So that's not going to work. The way we are going to fight back is through decentralization, pulling ourselves away from it, just trying to stop associating with it. And that's what we're trying to do.
That's really the key, isn't it? You know, we can't disengage from a system while we're propping it up at the same time. The best way for the system to end is for people to start rejecting it. I mean, it won't end for a long time because it's so well established. It's been planned for too long. There are too many people in power protecting it. But the people who do not move away from this and start thinking about their own future and starting to take back control of how they raise their children, what their children are exposed to, whether or not they can feed them, whether or not they can provide somewhere for them to live, safety for them, protection for them. If those people work together to create a real parallel society, other people will look at what we're building and they'll see how good things could have been. And they will too reject the existing system. And as I say, it will probably never disappear because there is too much at stake. Too many people have invested in making it exactly what it is. But that's just another reminder that it was built by them for them. It wasn't built for us. So don't be surprised when it doesn't serve us. It was never intended to. And
also, if we play this right, we can actually end up having a pretty damn good life while everything else is coming in.
Yeah.
Growing our own fruit and veg. Really high quality stuff rather than the sort of bland sameness of the supermarkets. Maybe even growing our own, raising our own animals. I mean, if anyone who's had meat from a local butcher's and then tried the same sort of thing from a supermarket, it's like two different I don't know, meats, two different animals. It's completely different.
Yeah.
There's no reason why we can't have better quality food.
And you'd have to have been living under a rock, right, not to read all the scare stories over the last decade about all the poisons that people keep finding in their food. I mean, you know, companies get sued for this, but they still do it because the system is designed for this to happen.
But
our food is poisoned, our water is poisoned, our air is poisoned, and now they want to directly inject it into your veins. But
also, we can have beautifully designed, high quality handmade items. Bring that back again. Things that are actually designed to last. Crazy concept in this day and age with planned obsolescence. There's no reason why we can't have that. And then alongside that, utilize high-tech manufacturing techniques for the things such as laptops and phones and other things like that.
Yeah.
Use both.
Absolutely. You know, when we talk about sort of looking to the past for solutions to the future, we're not talking about going back to, you know, brushing our teeth with sand or...
the good old days of BBC Piggy.
or you know, or going back to those, brick phones. We're talking about taking the very best. Why can't we take all the very best elements from every decade, every century, every era, and bring them together in a way that serves us? The very best of everything. Of course we can have that.
This is why we push so much for open source technology.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a way for us basically to copy and improve upon what the likes of Apple and Samsung and whoever else are making and creating, and actually taking control of that ourselves. Like you have things such as the like the Alexa thing. I still don't really understand the purpose of the Alexa, but the general idea of a smart home, you can do that with open source technology pretty bloody easily. Even somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing would be able to get themselves like a second version of Alexa with relative ease. It's the sort of thing that we could do. There's no reason that we have to take a step back in terms of technological comforts just because we're no longer buying from the main establishment. This is why it's so bloody important that people start making this stuff themselves.
Yes.
If we have people who have the time and know what they're doing, try and create a little Alexa. Make it open, or use open source technology that already exists, sell it, or put it on the show and we'll demo it. We'll see how it works. We'll fiddle around with it.
Yeah, that's something we don't mention enough. If you have a great idea for a product that you want to market, that you'd like us to sort of test and give and endorse on the show, well, I don't know about endorse, depends how the test goes, right? But we would be more than happy to test it on the show. You could come on as a guest and talk us through it, talk about how you came upon the idea. You could go through all the functions of it. We'd be happy to do that. We'd also be happy, and have said so before, if you have a project that you have completed, maybe it's building something, maybe it's refurbishing something, maybe it's growing something, creating some, it doesn't matter. Again, if you want to sell this as a service, if you are a sculptor, for instance, we can put pictures of your work on the show, and you can come on the show, or if you don't want to, we can talk about them with your permission, and we can promote you. We did a fantastic job promoting Kaelin the other night because he's self-employed. It's a one-man business. It's the epitome of a small business, which is what we should be supporting right now.
Exactly. He's just a geezer we know. He didn't ask for that. I'm not even sure he's seen the show. I don't think he has.
No, I'm not sure.
We didn't do it for the pats on the back. We just did it because we wanted to.
Exactly.
And because it was relevant.
And there's nothing in it for us except for the fact that if we can start a trend of people just promoting people who are doing good things for no other reason than they are doing good things, that's a fantastic mindset for this community. On that note, I really want to bring this up. Dragon Energy, it has 3 jobs for someone if they want them. Dragon Energy, please get in touch with us after the show. We've got the business directory on the website. You can actually advertise a vacancy if you want to put your general area. If anyone is close enough by and you want to get in touch, obviously use the obvious caution when you're online. Speak properly, find out who this person is. If they've got a business, look it up and so on. But it may be that someone in your area has those skills and is willing to help you out. This is networking. We cannot all just sit here all the time watching streams and agreeing. We've got to make this happen. So if anyone here can get in touch with Dragon Energy, or if he can get in touch with us, and we'll put something up on the Discord, get yourself over to the website and advertise your vacancy there. We've got to start networking. We've got to start we can't keep saying we've got to help each other and then agree and then not do it. We've got to start doing it.
That's always the funniest thing to me. Sorry, just how people typically do that. They agree something needs to be done, they all nod, and then nobody does anything.
Yeah. So, yeah. Does anyone have a farm, Will is asking? Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I just said don't be that guy. That was it.
Okay. Will is asking, does anyone have a farm? I imagine there are lots of secret millionaires in this chat. It's up to them if they want to reveal themselves. I know of at least one who does. but that was told to me in confidence. So yes, there are people here who have farms, at least one that I know of. I suspect a few. Boudica says, something that we can all do right now that doesn't cost anyone a single penny is to think about and change what wealth means to them. Yes, this pursuit of money is really tearing us down. Really is tearing us down. We're forgetting that it's simply a tool to buy the things that make us happy or keep us safe. Start thinking about money as a tool again, because that tool could be replaced by anything else. Money could be buttons or shoelaces. It doesn't matter. It's simply a tool to get the things that you want. The pursuit of money for the sake of having money. There are lots of rich people who will die and they can't spend it when they're gone, but they just accumulate money all their lives. It takes over their lives, and it makes them in many cases not very pleasant people. But they still die alone, don't they? Maybe, if they snuggle up to that money, it makes them feel warm at night.
Hey, I've seen Scrooge McDuck, specifically the Donald Duck. He looked pretty damn happy.
And Boudica goes on to say, as opposed to wealth, what does a quality life mean to anyone? What is a good life? Is it a life well lived, surrounded by friends and family, feeling loved and appreciated and respected? I would say that's a good life. I would say that's a life well lived. Having people miss you when you're gone, not because of what they can get from you, or necessarily what you did for them, but because they genuinely respect you. If we all strive to be that person, we're going to have a fantastic community.
Just going back to a previous comment as well, Adam said that building a processor in your shed is pretty hard. I didn't mean, oh, blimey, you're already there.
I'm on catch up. Of course I'm there.
Fair enough. People have to be reasonable in what they're trying to build. Making something like a processor is impossible. Don't even bother. On the other hand, doing things with that processor, can do that. It comes down to cost and benefit and time and all the rest of that. If something is so incredibly complex, it is not feasible to do, or it is not really practical to do, then don't waste your time on it. Obviously not a processor, that was facetious. Amusing, but facetious. But for other things, let's say cars, for example. Technically, we can make our own. Is it feasible? Yes. Is it practical in comparison to buying a used car or buying a new one? No. Right, let's just buy the used one or the new one.
From the time scale, definitely no.
Exactly. It pick and choose in the battles you want, basically. There are certain things that make a lot of sense, i.e. learning to can your own food. Stockpiling up on things like rice, for example, learning how to grow strawberries. That sort of thing is bloody useful. Other things, like, for example, I'm trying to think of a good example. Making your own essential oils for whatever reason, making your own paper. You can make your own paper at home. I have a friend who's actually done it. Was it worthwhile? No, not at all. I heard nothing but complaining for the 3 weeks while they tried to do it.
as gaining a skill goes, then yes, of course.
The overall gist I got was that it was a fun experiment, but that was it.
Can I just interrupt with a quick important message? Bazooka Joe. Bazooka Joe has a big birthday on Sunday. His daughter's off to come around and cook, and might cover it in brown sauce. Hang on a minute. There's a previous conversation here I've missed. Philomena, what's he responding to? It's got to be bacon, right? Bacon or mint arrows. Which one? Where's Philomena? What did she say? Oh, she's going to have to answer. I can't go back any further back in the chat. Otherwise, we'll never catch up. Anyway, happy birthday for Sunday, Bazooka Joe.
Indeed.
The big one, huh? 21 again, I bet. Yeah, Boudica says, can you imagine the market for small batch artisanal preserves and pickled items? It doesn't matter what it is. This is the point. It does not matter what it is. But if you are someone who is interested, you don't even have to have skill or experience. A lot of people are putting up overviews and posting pictures of their first attempt at something.
Mm-hmm.
Just do something fun that you enjoy.
Yeah, like look at me on the carving streams.
Yeah,
I
that was
hadn't a clue
Jordan's
what I was
first
doing.
time.
Just kind of poked around on the stream, cut myself a couple of times. It's always good.
Admit it though, even if every project you engaged in was a failure, you enjoyed it so much, didn't you?
Absolutely, I really enjoy it. It
Yes.
is.
Go on,
Sorry, it
sorry.
is also Eddie's birthday.
Yes, I haven't got there yet. Sorry.
I know. I saw it pop up in chat. I forgot. I did wish him happy birthday earlier on Discord.
Should we just say it now? Eddie Longbottom, as you are now known. Can we just say a big happy birthday to Eddie? Is it? Oh, it's Longfellow, isn't it? Damn it. Can we say a big happy birthday to Eddie? Have a great day. Thank you so much. Yes, you're such a child. What were you telling people about behaviour?
I never said anything.
Motley. Kate says, I love seeing what people are making in the Discord. We have some really talented friends here and inspired me to get started with my own project. Ooh, anything you want to reveal, Kate, or is it a surprise? There you go, Dragon Energy. Jerry Delaney has offered to help out. Why don't you guys get in touch on the Discord and hopefully you can sort something out? Wow.
So,
Surrounded by adults. Hilarious. Right, moving on. Okay, let's have a look. Right, Johnny Not Powell says, we have a problem whereby people are so into the failing system, it's very hard to get out. Yes, I'm going to pass this one back to you, Andrew. It is difficult for people. What would you say, because we've looked into lots of this stuff and we've discussed it loads. What would you say would be the first step to freeing yourself before you can physically do it?
Well, I think the first thing is probably something that Jordan will like. Completely cut out the news. It's not doing you any good. It's like watching the Titanic go straight towards that iceberg and you just sat there watching it. It's not going to do any good. You want to actually just pull away from it, take a week at least, and just relax and allow yourself to de-stress. Once you've got a bit of critical distance from that, then you can start to think about the little things you can do. Maybe you want to try and grow some easy herbs on your windowsill. Learn a bit of a little indoor gardening. That's something you can do. A bit of microgreens. Just get into the habit of it. Maybe there's something that you're actually interested in that you've never tried before. Maybe it might be something like leather crafting. It might be sewing. It could be anything. If we've done an overview for it, then you can have a look at that. Or maybe there's something we haven't, and you'd like to do some more research onto it. Just try things. Now's the time to try things, especially if you're locked down. I mean, this is something I've said before to people. We are forced into basically a house arrest. Mm-hmm. Now, if you just sit around watching TV or playing video games or stuff like that, then you're allowing these people to steal a part of your life away. Mm-hmm. Don't allow that. Use this time to actually build yourself up and to try different things out. Then at least when you come out of this, you're in a better position and you haven't allowed them to take your life.
One of the things I see a lot of people complain about is how they feel that they're wasting time sitting at home. And they are entirely right. That's basically what we're all being forced to do.
Yeah.
The best way to combat that is to do something. Anything. That basically doesn't matter what it is. Just set yourself a goal and achieve it. If you're not able to go, let's say you work and you're not able to go out in the evenings or do anything fun that you normally do, and you feel that you're kind of just working and running down the clock, as I would imagine a lot of people do at the moment, start working out in the evenings. Study chess. Do many things. Learn how to take something apart. Learn how to fix something. If your interest is electronics, watch a couple of YouTube videos, decide if it's actually something you want to get involved in, and then do it. Or if you watch a couple of videos and you think, hey, you know what, this is actually much more complicated than I realised, this isn't for me, it's perfectly fine. At least you haven't wasted any time on that. You can then move on to something else. We're in this weird position at the moment where we're all in the same boat. We're all being forced to waste time on nothing.
Yeah.
The best thing we can do is to just take it back, basically.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's really important as well that you don't miss the first part of that message. Don't be embarrassed because you think that the thing you want to try isn't particularly useful in the grand scheme of things. That's not what it's about when you're starting out.
Absolutely. It's about doing it.
Yeah, just achieving something. It's addictive. And if you can do it with one thing, it will convince you, motivate you to try something else.
Well said. It's about learning to fail.
Yeah, getting back on the horse, as they say. You know, we've been brought up, well, maybe not most of us here, but children are being taught that failure is not an option. You know, they get a prize for turning up, and it's making them into a big bunch of, well, immature babies, essentially. They can't cope with failure. And I think many of them have gotten to the point where they won't even try in case they fail. How sad is that? To never experience anything just in case it doesn't work. We're better than that. We're stronger than that. Give it a
Especially, sorry, on.
I was just going to say, give it a try. You'll fail if you never try. If you try and you fail, you just keep trying. Practice makes perfect. It's how everyone gets to where they're going. No expert is born, they're made. Oh, I hate
especially at a time when no one can see you fail.
Yes.
You know, if everyone else is locked down and all, it's perfectly okay to give something a go. Nobody's watching. Nobody's going to see you fail.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of hobbies are remarkably cheap to take up. Remarkably cheap. I admit that the wood carving was excessively cheap. It cost £32 in total. It is perfectly doable to do a lot of very, very complicated hobbies for a couple of £100. And it may take a couple of months to save up to get that amount of money, but it's certainly doable for a number of people.
I will say as well, while it's not ideal, if you are truly lacking confidence and doing this by yourself, there are plenty of starter kits online that you can buy.
Yeah.
If you shop around, you can get some good deals. Ideally, you want to be making things from scratch, because from scratch is probably where you'll be in the future. But even if you try a starter kit where everything's provided, if you try it and you like it and you enjoyed it and you've got a sense of fulfillment from it, then you can start bypassing the kits and start buying all of the goods from scratch. The basic ingredients, the basic tools and equipment that you need.
You can turn your research into an industry overview and all.
Yes.
That's literally what it's for.
These industry overviews, Andrew and Jordan have put a lot of time into this. Probably
Bodica
Andrew
did one as well.
Yeah. Apologies. Yeah. But I think there's room for a few more. I think this community has hidden talents that we've yet to see. So again, this doesn't have to be something you are experienced in necessarily, just something that you've done, that you've tried. If you could really point out the pitfalls of doing something, that's actually more helpful than just a kind of a milquetoast overview that you could get online. If you've tried something and you've tweaked it because this works better, that's the kind of useful information we need. And an overview doesn't have to be as officious sounding as I'm probably making it. It's just a word we have for it. It's basically writing down your experience of making something.
It sounds better than hobby notes.
Yeah, but that's all it is. It's notes. It's your notes. As long as we can read them and understand them, just, send it in. Put it up on the Discord. Go over to the website, put it up on the forum. It doesn't have to be professional grade overviews. This is community. This is sharing information, however you share it. But if you do one thing and it inspires one more person, that's an amazing achievement. and you will have been directly involved in helping that person. So something to think about. Again, you know, we've got to start doing and stop talking.
Which is all we really ever encourage.
That's lovely. History and Truth says, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. By Thomas Edison. It is a process of elimination. Every failure is a learning curve. If you learn from your failures, if you change something, if you tweak the recipe or the method, if you use better ingredients, it could be that that's the only problem. But failure is only when you stop trying, in my opinion. Not because you don't succeed. The opposite of success should not be failure. Failure should mean I didn't even bother in the first place. You only fail when you quit, when you give up. We don't give up. There's too much to fight for. And it starts with the tiniest little achievement, and then it grows. No, I've silenced everyone. Brilliant. Job done.
How was that? Was that better?
Well, I was hoping someone would speak. I just felt a bit uncomfortable.
Well, no, you were in full flow.
I'm so passionate about this. I'm genuinely passionate about this because I see what's coming. I know you all do as well. And it frustrates me that people are going to basically sleepwalk to their doom. We've got to reach people and make them understand what's coming. Even if they decide this community isn't for them and they go elsewhere. I don't care how they help themselves, as long as they help themselves, exactly. So, you know, we almost have a duty to do this. It's like knowing a bomb was going to drop and I kept that information to myself. I have a duty to tell as many people as possible. If they don't want to listen, fair enough. But they cannot say no one warned them this was coming. But this is why we really do need to start doing more and talking less, which is interesting coming from me, right?
Well, for now, in the coming days and weeks, that will be changing.
Yes, it will. The reality is the best way for us to get a head start on what's coming is to have freedom. Freedom means choices. How do we get that freedom? We disengage from the system, which comes right back to what Andrew said. If you want to have control over your life, start controlling your income. That's a really good place to start. How do you control your income? By stop giving people control and power over when you can access it and what you have to do to get it. Not everyone is going to be in a position to work for themselves, but those who are can employ others. This is why we want to work with a network of wonderful people, small business owners who are saying they will not give in to this, who are resisting. These people are paying politicians to prevent them from feeding their own families. That's crazy. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Everyone should have the right to provide for their own. And these brave shopkeepers who are opening their doors anyway deserve every single bit of support that we can give them. And the best way to network with these people is to become business owners ourselves.
I said this during one of the men's streams. It is remarkably easy to shop around just a little bit more and buy stuff from independent sellers. You don't have to be buying stuff from Amazon and eBay.
Even if you do at the beginning because of cost, we can forgive that.
But typically the cost isn't actually different. What you can do is shop around on Amazon and then find that person's website or find whoever manufactured it. Find them, and it is typically going to be roughly the same sort of price. Not exactly, it may be a little bit more expensive. I'm yet to see it cheaper, but it may be a little bit more expensive, but it will not be by much.
Well, that's the ultimate goal and the inspiration behind the store that we built, wasn't it? Was to get a network of businesses all under one roof, of small businesses who haven't sold out to the corporate shenanigans, people with values, people who believe in the products they're making, people who are not poisoning you. Disclaimer, I'm not accusing anyone of doing that, but I'm saying people who actually care about these things, and you know that they do. People who are using proper ingredients, safe ingredients. That would be fantastic if we could build that up. And that would just be a network sitting right there. Something to rival somewhere like Amazon. Of course, it would be much smaller. But I wonder, in this age of censorship and ridiculous rules, how many people have been kicked off of places like Amazon and Etsy and various other websites for their views? Because they don't support the lockdowns, for instance. What if all of those companies were looking for another home and we could provide it for them and we could network with them and promote them? Imagine how great that would be. There is so much we can do for each other. So much we can do. The only thing stopping us now is our lack of imagination. And again, if you have any suggestions, and I do mean any good suggestions as to how we can support each other, something we've never covered on the stream, something we've never probably thought of, please feel free to let us know. And if we can incorporate it somehow and it's doable, we'll certainly consider it. Yes, as Will points out, we're working on a guide to globalist and local businesses. We really would like some input from you all as to the kind of service you get, especially from the local businesses, of course, because we'd like to promote the good ones. But we want to have a list in place, essentially, where people know, instead of doing all that internet searching yourself, if everyone contributes their own experience, again, you're saving one person hours of research. That's useful. That's productive. The one thing we don't have enough of right now is not actually money, believe it or not, it's time. The more we do together, the less one person has to do alone. This community is just full of interesting skills and experiences. Let's put them to good use. Let's come together and work together. Because it's really going to make a difference. Things may not seem so dire now because everything's been a slow process, but it's starting to accelerate. And when they bring in those COVID passports, everything's going to get real very, very quickly.
Yeah, you can see it coming a mile away.
And there is just no excuse now for people to say, well, if only someone had prepared us. Lots of people are preparing all of us. There's no excuse now. David, I want the British Amazon. The wife could keep it afloat on her own. Brilliant.
Hey, you missed Johnny Up House.
Oh, did I? Hang on a second.
It was directly after Will.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I didn't realise it was a joke. Sorry. My wife didn't order anything from Amazon yesterday, so the courier guy knocked on the door today to check if we were okay.
How didn't you notice it was a joke?
I don't know.
Just look at his farm.
I know. Well, the thing, John said earlier that he'd run out of dad jokes, so I wasn't expecting anything impressive. That was pretty good, though.
Obviously a lie. It's fake news.
Yes, right. Okay. I think that we have covered everything. Yes, I
Good.
know. You're disappointed, aren't you? I'll raise my game, I promise. I think we've covered everything. Andrew, would you like to add anything else?
No, not really. I think it's a very dark time seeing what's happening, but I think it's best not to get depressed by it. We definitely can win. We can have a fantastic life as well. So there is hope. There's a lot of hope. At least we know what to do now. At least we know how to actually fight back. So yeah, just stop watching the news, stop following the news, and just try something out. I think that's all I've got to say, really.
The best way we can win is by taking personal responsibility and just going down the free enterprise and anti-globalism path.
Yes.
That is the way to do it. If we can just cut the head off the snake there and then. If we stop buying from these people, what power do they have, really?
Absolutely. And these people are promoting things that they know are harming us. So they don't deserve our support. The people who do deserve our support, though, are the people who are trying to make something happen that does benefit us. And it is our responsibility now, all of us, to get on with the job of making all of us much safer. It really is. Oh, look at all that support there for Andrew. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. Andrew does really work hard. And it's nice to see that so many people appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. Right, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you all, as always, for joining us. If you're in the mood for a bit of fun, we have a special guest tomorrow night. We'll be back at 7:30. And we hope to see you there. Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.